My name is Ariya, and I'm the newly appointed president of BEC World, best known for Channel 3, the TV station. As of today, actually precisely today, is my second month on the job. So it hasn't been a long time. So I'm not going to tell you a story of transformation yet, because I'm building that. Anything I would say would be probably an overstatement as of today. But what I want to tell you is what goes through my mind and why I chose this job. So I'm going to share with you what sort of keeps me up at night and what wakes me up in the morning. So I have very short nights. And the other thing is I'm not going to talk so much about technology and stuff like that, because you're part of the digital committee of the AmSham. So I would hope that you have that urgency and you understand technology at least enough to know that you need to change, right? I think that's the key point. So that's my sort of journey. The reason why I wanted to show this is, so I've been in the telco business for a long time, and then I moved to tech, Google, Line, and some way, somehow, I chose to move back to the old world, the very traditional world, actually a family business. For those of you who don't know, the Banomyong family is behind Channel 3. They founded Channel 3 49 years ago. And if you've been in Thailand long enough, you know that we have lots of huge conglomerates, family businesses, right? And that's the nature of Thailand, partly. I think it's a very unexpected company for me, but I'm also a very unexpected candidate for this position. And I think that's a very important point. And that's why I wanted to share that. And today I said I want to do something different, because I've been on stages for the past 8 years talking about disruption, transformation, innovation, and I could actually go on for hours talking about technology and stuff like this. But that's not what I'm going to do. And what the choice I made is actually, I've been talking to a lot of corporations saying, here's what you should do, here's how we did things at Google, here's how we did things at Line, and here are a couple of tips and recommendations that you could learn on how you could transform your organization. So now I get to eat my own medicine and say, whatever I told you before, can I make it happen? And that's a personal challenge, and that's part of why I chose to move on this traditional side, hopefully to bring the old world into the new world, right? Likewise, I could spend time telling you about, how I plan to change, BEC or Channel 3, and how we're going to make BEC great again. And I don't think 10 minutes would be enough to tell you that story. I could also tell you, the media industry is a shrinking industry in Thailand. It's declining. It's been declining 5% every year. It's flat or it declines. And clearly, it's not just BEC, but as an industry, we need to change, because the money shrinks. So if we keep on doing the same business, it's not sustainable. Media decreased by 5%. TV is now at 59%. In a couple of years, it's going to go down to 50%. So what happens? And no, it's not hard to predict, right? We know what's going to happen. So the question is, what are we going to do about this? I think that's the key point. Beyond this, for me is, I'm very clear, fairly clear about what I need to do. I have a roadmap. This slide, I whipped it up so that the media and the investors give me some time to do some work, because I need to feed them with something, right? Because everyone expects change to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take longer than that. But the point I really want to make, it's not about technology. Technology, you can, today we're Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, you have Tech Sauce happening at Centra. It's the largest tech conference. You have loads of tech conference happening now in Bangkok. You have lots of speakers, lots of experts flying into Thailand. It's not hard to get access to that information. It's harder to hire people, I give you that. But the point beyond technology is, it's not what it takes to transform an organization. Technology is going to enable that transformation. But the point is about people. When I was at Google, when I was at Line, I had the opportunity to build everything from scratch. Build a business, build the office, hire the team, and now at BEC, I have a 49 years legacy organization. And it's a lot harder to change that, because I'm not building from scratch. Right? And I would reckon that a lot of you in this room and a lot of businesses around the world are in a similar situation. For tech companies, I wouldn't say it's easier, but from a people standpoint, you don't have that challenge to face. You're not changing anything, you're building everything. And to some extent, it's easier. So if you move to the next slide, which is my last slide, that's the most important part. How do you get people who have been around for 20 years, 30 years to change the way they work? You can tell them to change. I can guarantee you that's not going to happen by itself. They used to do what they do, and they're good at what they do, but it's just not adapted to today's world. So how do you change? How do you get people to change? How do you create a culture of collaboration? I bet you that 90% of all the organizations sitting in this room would say, oh, we work in silos, right? It's very common, especially if you go back to the early days when all the businesses were booming and growing. It's like you just had to and things were just moving. Business was good. Didn't need to talk to a lot of people. You could sell, you could grow. Now it's very different. And then when you need different teams to talk and say, how do we solve this? Even though they know each other, they don't know how to work together, right? So how do you change a culture? Building a culture is easy. Changing a culture is very different. And the last part is the mindset. And we talked a lot about the naysayers, right? People want to say it's not possible. It takes 20 people to make coffee. I'm used to do that. So how do you get them to say, well, actually you need just one person to do coffee? If you remove 19 people, the entire organization is going to say, stop, I need more people, because the process hasn't changed. The way they work hasn't changed. When you say, well, we need to do things that we've never done before, easier said than done, because people just, what is it that we've never done before? If they knew, they would have done it already. So everything that we're talking about boils down to your biggest challenge is not technology, right? Your biggest challenge today is people. Do you have the right people in your organization to enable all the changes to happen? And transformation starts from the top. Many of you are the change agent of your organization. I would say that I give a lot of credit and I have a lot of respect for the Banomyong family, the owners of BEC or Channel 3, because they recognize that they've started that transformation by putting almost like an outlier like me at the head of that business. It's quite bold. I'm not saying that I'm the best candidate. You have to give them that I'm a very unusual candidate for this position. And that's how they're going to start this transformation, by recognizing that it needs to change and we need to start from the top. Because everything else in your organization, your team members, especially the younger people, they know that the world has changed. The problem is usually the people at the top, because of the age pyramid. Not saying that we're old. Yes, we're old. But that's the point, right? Your children, your younger people in your organization, they know that. It's their daily lives. It's just that we don't live that same life. People, culture, and mindset. And that's the one thing I wanted to leave you with. People is everything. And it's going to be your biggest challenge. And it's my biggest challenge. So that's the one thing that keeps me up at night. How do I make these changes happen? Because, the roadmap for me is fairly clear. I know what I need to do. But I need the entire organization to rally behind me and to run with me as fast as I can run. Or even faster, ideally, at some point. And that takes a lot of time. Thank you.